Okay, morning everyone. We're out bright and early in an attempt to beat the heat, really, because as everybody knows in the UK it's been absolutely sweltering. So we thought, right, we'll get out early before that sun gets up and we get baked. So tune in today to see what I'm flying, one of my personal favourites. So roll the intro. Okay, yeah, as I said, flying one of my personal favourites, and there it is, the Fms J-3 Cub version 4 in the Swiss scheme. Not all Cubs are yellow, remember that. Just thought that I would before I start flying, just talk through the spec of the plane. So 1.4 metre wingspan, and very important, when I need to find out the CG of a plane, where do I go? YouTube. So from now on, I'm always going to try to remember to mention the CG. The CG on this one it's quite a big range actually, 55 to 65, measured from the leading edge of the wing. I've got my marks under there. I went for exactly in the middle of that, so it's at 60. And if you're running, you haven't got much choice really. This runs on a 3S 2225C discharge lipo, and you haven't got much space in the bottom loading tray to get a bigger battery than that. But with that battery pushed as far forward as you can, the CG balances perfectly in the middle of that range. So that's the CG. It's 11x7 prop, and it's 900 millimeters long, and the motor is a 3536 850 kV brushless outrunner with a 40 amp Predator speed control. So it's quite a nice speed controller really, considering that it's running on just those like 3S batteries. Basically no flaps, 4 9-gram servos, obviously doing the rudder, the elevator and the ailerons. One thing that I did have a bit of an issue with this particular model, this is the version 4 with the updated landing gear, and I found that on a couple of occasions you had these little sort of like plastic, almost like spacers that were designed to push into the wheel hub, and then you put the scale Cub wheel trims on top of that, but they just kept coming off, and I actually tried to glue them and all sorts, and unfortunately on the one particular day we were flying, it resulted in us losing the wheel while the plane was up in the air, and we had to do an emergency landing in the long grass in the Roman villa that's behind us. What I've done now is painstakingly sanded the wheel axles down and then soldered washers in place. Obviously put in a little bit of a paper template in to give me a bit of spacing so the wheels would still turn, but I've now, as I said, soldered washers in an attempt to stop those wheels coming off, and then allowing me to still keep the Cub wheel trims, keep it looking scale. But there you are, a little bit of a rundown of the specifications. Simplicity yourself to put together. You've got a screw that holds your vertical stabilizer on, and then you've got 4 screws then to attach the wings. Unfortunately, the wing struts are not removable. They're sort of like clip in and bolt in. So once they're on, you know, they're pretty much there unless you want to be fiddling around and doing a nut and a bolt. So yeah, but apart from that, you know, I've detailed a few things myself, but there you are, there's the specs, and let's get on with the flying. See you soon, bye. Right then, so all the talking out the way, as as always, I never know with these little wheels, although I did fly earlier on in the year, and it was quite clumpy over here and they coped okay. So now it's a bit dry. It is a little bit drippy, but let's hope that she's gonna take off. So right, okay, here we go. So at the moment I'm flying with the reflex gyro system, and it's in their equivalent of AS3X. Now we had a little bit of a shock a few months back on this first couple of outings where I think I've mentioned it before, I was just enjoying myself and starting to throw the thing around and she tipped the wing and we weren't filming, and how I saved it that morning I just don't know, but there you are, more by luck than a prayer really. Now, to me, I mean, obviously it's a Cub, so you don't want it having sort of like absolute rocket speeds. But the problem sometimes for me flying electric planes is that the motors always sound a little bit wheezy. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but they just sound a little bit sort of like breathless at times. And of course, with this running on sort of like low discharge batteries, doesn't really feel that powerful, but I suppose, you know, the look we're going for is for it to look scale. And it certainly does look nice just potting around. That's what I like to do with this type of plane. Just gently scoot it around, bringing it in for the occasional flybys. Now there was a spell there as I was coming past that it was actually hands off, so it's supremely stable. So she's hands off there, you know, and she's just trimmed lovely. And of course you've got the AS3XN to battle the wind if there was any wind. That's a nice calm day so far. I don't know what it is about the J3 Cub. Talking to somebody that I'm subscribed to yesterday, Gina, she was flying the Spitfire, and I said for me, I just love the Spitfire, the Hurricane, but also the J3 Cub. You know, it's a special special design. So slow it right down now. Okay, nice slow flyby. And I'm still now just starting to get a little bit concerned about those wheels. We've got a dog running over to see us.
Yep.
Okay, well, a little bit bumpy, but she's down. She's coming nice then. I was a little bit concerned about these wheels and the landing gear. So there she is, the FMS J-3 Cub in the Swiss paint scheme. Flown in, I can never remember, with the reflex gyro system. I think it's stabilised and optimised, and I think that was the equivalent to the AS3X is stabilised. But there you go, let's have a little throttle cut on. Let's just quickly check how these wheels are looking. Very, very difficult to yeah, that's okay, we're still in business. This one got a little bit affected by the heat of the soldering iron, and it's got a little bit wobbly, but there you are. I think we're all intact and all ready for another flight. So there you go, nice first flight. Just having a tootle around waiting for the sun to come up before we sort of like capture any really, really nice flybys. But thank you for watching and thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.
What's that?
Lovely.